For more than 2 decades, Oscar de las Salas has directed projects in the world of design, being recognized for his contributions to the international world of style as a respected fashion producer, style critic, writer, and creative director. Get ready for inspiring living. Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I'm an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I'm the founder and now partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years, and in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Okay, well, it is Saturday now. We actually started this podcast on Monday.
the longest podcast ever.
Ever, right? I've got Oscar de las Salas here for the second time. So what happened is we did this great recording on Veterans Day.
Yes.
Monday, he came over. We had the most wonderful, one of my best podcasts ever, of course. And so then the next day I'm kind of fiddling with it and editing, and I must have hit a cut and paste and delete, and then I was trying to recover it.
Yep.
And it's gone.
Well, I have to tell you something which I lately I've been thinking about is the fact that we love technology.
Oh, yeah.
But we love to hate technology as well.
Yeah.
I've gone to so many luncheons and business meetings, and the moment you have the client in front of you, I'm going to show you your site plan and your mini video, and nothing works.
Yeah, you're doing the puppets with the hands in the shadows. Right?
Yes, exactly. We're magicians somehow, but thank you for having me once again.
Well, thank you again for coming on now a Saturday to do this again. And we started this podcast, and we tried recording, and I was having technical difficulties with this file, so I'm on a different file. It's just been one of those deals.
And I'm really early in your house. Thank you. It's actually overcast today. Yeah. Beautiful. One of those days that we don't have in the valley often. And I know that you're leaving to Italy, to La Bella Italia, later today.
Actually, tomorrow morning, early, 4 a.m.
4 a.m. So good luck, and I hope everything goes well because of the big ciclone.
Yeah, there's a big storm coming.
Yeah, the big storm is coming in, so I hope everything goes well with you and your guests.
Should be interesting. So I'm going with compliments of Bromball Windows, so call out to them. We're going to do a podcast from Italy. We might have to do it in galoshes and umbrella. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, my God. Well, yeah, there's a beautiful one, and then good luck. And shout out to Cristina and Alessandro, two of my best friends that I told you about. Alessandro, he's a pilot, an Italian pilot that is in town teaching American pilots to fly, I believe is the F-35.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and then they just got a bambino. I mean, she's expecting. So shout out to my beautiful people out there.
All right, so let's get back to your story. I know what's good about this is I learned a lot on the first take that we no longer have. So there's a lot of, I know there was a lot more we wanted to get into on that first podcast.
Oh my God, that was very good, Mark. We should do one of those that is, I know it sounds silly, but the Illuminati type of a podcast when we dig deeper into concept.
Right.
Yeah.
But today we're going to go back, start from your story.
Yeah.
Where you were born, and how did you end up here in Arizona? Because that was a great story.
I was born in a town in the north part of Colombia in the Caribbean. The name is Barranquilla. My grandparents migrated from Spain when Franco was in power. They were, of course, refugees, so they were trying to find a place in South America or a place around the world to dock, and then they were on their way to Argentina. And they stopped in one of the islands of the Caribbean because the boat didn't have enough food to continue on. And then they got diverted, and they end up stopping in Cartagena. And then later on, they migrated to Barranquilla. And then that's when I was born. I have a very, how do I say this? Yesterday, Gerd Wusterman from Scottsdale Arts was doing some introductions just to say something about Oscar, and he used the term flamboyant, and I'm just like, I just don't know if perhaps I like it if I were a singer or a performer, but I think we're all performers somehow in our own lives. But anyway, so my personality is kind of. How do I define it? It was very difficult to speak in first person, but
you're very expressive.
Very expressive, yeah. And then it's something that I realized later on. But I have to tell you the other part. That I told you that I'm very shy as well. So the shy part comes on different terms. But I left Colombia. I graduated as an architect in Colombia. I worked right out of architecture school for the American Embassy in Colombia, a company out of Pleasanton called Dillingham. No longer exists. I think it was the company changed names, but it was called Dillingham Construction back then. So the company was in Pleasanton. A friend of mine who was a civil engineer knew about my talents, and then he said, we need an architect, and we need someone to help us to coordinate the documents, the drawings that are coming from FBO, Federal Building Office, out of Washington. So he called me. I went to the interview. They needed someone bilingual, and also just someone who coordinates all the consultants and had the knowledge in both languages. I didn't have the technical knowledge in English at that time, but I had the Spanish one. And then they sent me to Fort Lauderdale for 6 months for training, so I was able to understand all the technicalities that I was saying. So with them, I worked
for 4 years.
Then? At 23, right out of school.
Real young.
Right out of school. And then I was in front of older people.
Wow.
So it was just, I believe they liked me during the interview because I was willing to learn.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we will talk later in life about it, which is your willingness to learn and to take chances no matter what.
Yep.
So I did. I took the chance. They took a chance of me as well. And then that allowed me to work in 4 embassies around the world. Singapore, Guantanamo Bay is an embassy by the station. Lima in Peru, and Bogota in Colombia. So those
amazing places.
Yeah, beautiful places, and the amount of money, I have to tell you, the amount of pride when you see an American embassy in a different country, it truly touches your heart because it's the best of America in somewhere else. It's beautiful. So high security. So funny. As you know, I work at Gensler, and I do design management and business development for them. And we went to Palm Springs to something we call Engage, which is the next level up in leadership. And then they asked me, tell us something that perhaps people don't know about you. And I didn't know what to say at the time. And I said, well, perhaps you guys don't know that at some point I had top security clearance by the American government. And everyone's like, what? It was very James Bond of me because I can tell stories of what happened. But that was the time at the embassy. The company was taken off to other countries, and then they promised me to continue my contract.
Right.
Take 6 months, whatever, and then that contract never came. And then I had already applied for a few universities. One of them, the one that I wanted to go to, University of Salamanca, out of Madrid in Castilla y León.
Yeah,
that's the region. Yep, Castilla y León. That's the region about Madrid. And then Salamanca is the second oldest university in the world. And they had, the arts faculty had a master's in interior architecture. And that's what I wanted to do. We don't have interior architects per se in this country, but in Europe is part of, it's typical, correct, it's a big deal. And then you get licensed and all the stuff. Same as an architect as we are here. So I left and I went to Spain and I finished all my courses and all the stuff, and then I needed to go into internships. And I applied for Casina. As you know, Casina in Italy is a company that does or creates furniture. And then I went to work with them to Padua. It's a city outside Venice, Venezia.
In about 48 hours, pretty darn close anyway.
So I know exactly how it feels. This is just a side note here, very small. I know how it feels to leave Padua or leave Milan and get into Venice and in a train. Usually I take the train. and then hear the waves crashing on the train.
It's a neat experience.
Right, it's a beautiful experience. So I hope you do well. They have Aqua Altissima, which is the tides are really high, but they have Aqua Alta is when they're high, but they have Aqua Altissima, which is they have, I believe, is knee height or 4 feet high.
Yeah, I think that's about where it is from what I've been reading this week.
Oh my God! Well, I hope everything is okay. There's more stuff that I know about the life in Venice and other things we'll talk about later.
Sure.
But based in Italy, I was able to work with different companies or different stations. So I lived in Milan and Madrid, Paris, and London, where they have bases. So I was able to go and do my little internships here, and there. So time flew, always when you have fun.
Yep.
And then I needed to finish my thesis project. And then I received a letter back then before email was just starting, actually. I received a letter from school. You need to apply for your thesis. And I'm like, uh-oh. So
here we go.
There we go. So then I sent a letter back to my dean, and I said I want to do my thesis about American modern architecture or modernist in America, which is a different view that we have here from our own. So everything decanted or went all the way down to trickle to study Frank Lloyd Wright. And I wanted to study his School of Architecture, which is a different type of apprenticeship that we all know in the academia. Correct. The academia, ours is sort of different than Taliesin. So who was my boss in the American Embassy lived here in Phoenix. And then he said, we kept in contact. And then one day I called and he said, you know that Taliesin has a Taliesin West here in Scottsdale? Why don't you come to my house, chill out, take some time, and then write your thesis here and get to know America and get to know Arizona.
What a great experience. Opportunity.
Yeah. And someone opening doors to you.
Sure.
Thank God, someone that I knew. Yep. Very grateful. Randy Stevens and Norma Stevens. Norma is no longer with us. So I came to town. So I basically packed my bags, to my books, to my clothes, and then I said, I'm just going to go to America.
And see what it's all about.
And see what it's all about. I knew the States. I knew New York, and I had the impression of Miami, but that's what I thought every single city looked like.
We could be no further from the truth from that.
You can't imagine. Yeah. Everyone knows the story.
Back then.
Especially back then, 20 years ago, that's when I landed here. Right. So I have these very funny story that I tell everyone of my second day, hours later.
I love that story. So you got to do that one again. That was awesome.
Hours later, so I just had gone to Milan at that time, and it was the end of summer, so you were able to purchase top designers at a very reasonable prices. So I had gone to Milan, to the south end of the city, and then I had purchased like the latest of the latest because I'm a fashion aficionado, I would say. I model.
Absolutely.
I did some staging. I created stages during my night times of my internship for photographers, and we talked about the world of fashion.
So you had
later
the
on.
Miami, New York image in your mind, and you're coming to Arizona, so you had to get ready. You had to get some fashion.
I had to get my stuff ready, so I was like, I'm gonna go hang out, and I'm going to Arizona. It's beautiful, the weather. All that I knew about Arizona was that it was full of saguaros. It's like an Speedy Gonzalez, and every other, and the Grand Canyon, of course. That's the only thing that you know about Arizona. So I landed here, jet lagged. Hours later, I woke up, and then I just tell my friends, I'm just gonna go to the piazza, to downtown, to have an espresso, and they said like, what? What are you doing? I said, yeah, I'll be right back. So I.
Explore. That's what you do when you go to any of the cities in Europe.
Any city, and I put my camera, my brand new camera, with I think slides. I was taking slides at that time. I still have them. So they lived in Missouri, which is one light north of Camelback, between Central Avenue and 7th Street. Okay. Beautiful area. Yeah. If you ever drive around that area, there's no sidewalks. Yeah. And then I lived in one of the developments, and I had to walk all the way to Missouri and then walk all the way to Central. They told me, well, walk to Central. So I walked to Central. I was dressed in a 3-piece linen suit.
And when the time of year is
August,
summer, right?
August 18, exactly, 1998.
Oh, boy.
3-piece suit, full linen,
and this
two-tone
Sunday,
shoes.
I think is what you told me.
It's a Sunday.
Yes.
2-tone shoes, wingtips, satchel, bag on the side.
You're looking good going down Missouri,
my
man.
sunglasses, Ferragamo sunglasses. I was like, I'm going to go to the piazza.
Yeah.
sit to the main square, sit, have espresso or a cup of coffee, and then see the life and see what happens. See musicians, see the city. Sure. Oh my God! I stood there.
You never found it, did you?
No, I stood there for 2.5 hours, and I don't know why I didn't stood there for a while. And then a guy on a bike passes by, and then he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm waiting for the bus." And he said, "Like, there's no buses on Sunday." Drenched in sweat, I went back home, and then they told me, "This is not the place that you think it is.
Right.
You have to get to know the city first."
Yeah.
And then I realized that this was the future, the city of the future that others have envisioned in the past, where the car was the king, and still is the king.
Yeah, this city was virtually created at the beginning of the car.
At the beginning of the car, correct, like the 50s.
Yeah.
By the way, it's today or this year. We've gone to so many anniversaries of so many institutions, art institutions in this town. Like, the 50th, the 20th, the 30th. So something was going on in this town that it was generating where we are today.
That's exactly right.
And then I realized, that, or we realized, now we're realizing that the car is not the king. Is the pedestrian who's the king, and things have to shift.
Yeah, it's interesting how this city is changing. I mean, it was created at the dawn of the car, but we're going to be one of those cities that was created that way, but then we're going to be one of the first ones to change into something else.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like
correct.
What you're alluding to.
Correct, yeah. We realize that the pedestrians are the king, and then if you see, we aim to go to places where we interact with other people. The interaction is social media, is distant, is creating that connection, but you always have to have that face-to-face, that closeness.
You want the connection, for
correct.
Sure.
So then I started to try to find my ways in town. I used to go to Taliesin West.
So this is about what year?
1998,
oh,
1998, 1999. So I needed to start writing my thesis. So I went to Central Library, the Burton Bar Library in downtown, up and down Central in a little bus, and then 2.5 hours to get to Taliesin West. I had to take one bus, stop, switch, go to the other one, and switch until I was able to be there, and then take few notes, few hours, and then do my
whole thing back.
Yeah, I didn't have a car.
Right.
My friend had only his car. She didn't have a vehicle. I didn't want to buy a car because I was leaving.
Sure.
I was going back to Spain to work for Agroman, a construction company, and they had a position ready for me, but they told me we have to wait until summer ends because we have to get billing time, a project. So then I said, okay. So I just don't know what happened, and I stayed in town. And little by little, I just started to meet people.
Right.
And the 1 year time that I took to write my thesis became 2 years. I met someone at a cocktail party, and he told me, "Why don't you help us with some documents during the daytime when you are not writing and when you're not doing your stuff?" And I said, "Okay, that's fine." And then those 3, 4, 5 months became working part-time, then became working three days a week. And then he asked me, Michael Munninger, great guy, architect friend of mine now from Architectural Alliance, he told me, "Why don't you stay? You're so good, we need you here, why don't you stay?" And then I said, okay, let me figure this out. So I sent a letter to my dean, and I said, I need another year, and I'm going to mail my thesis.
Yeah, there you go.
And they approved it.
Yeah. See, so when we spoke on Monday, our stories, although very, very different, but our experience landing here in Phoenix was quite the same.
Yeah.
Because when I moved here, I didn't know anybody, and you didn't know anybody. And I think what you said on Monday that I think a lot of people need to realize is you didn't just stay in the house that you were living in and hide out and work on your thesis. You got out there and you met people.
Yeah.
And you engaged yourself with people.
Yeah.
And that changed everything for you.
It's the curiosity. It's a natural curiosity of humans.
Right.
You try to find those people within your same premises.
Right.
You're the basis of who you are or what are you attracted to or your passion.
Right.
In my case, my passion is the world of arts and the world of architecture. So I found the New Times magazine that it was free in one of these little stands on Central, right in front of the Phoenix Art Museum.
Yeah.
And then at that time, the Ice House was just purchased by Helen Hestesness.
Yes.
and then they had little salons.
Yeah.
I remember the all the, how do I say these, all the artists and the intellectuals meet and have a good old time. So I used to go to the Ice House and hang out with all the artists who now are in the forefront of the world of arts in our town.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how that's changed since then?
Yeah.
Because I remember when the Ice House was first time, because our office, CCBG that I was at, we were at First Street in Garfield.
Yep.
And we were working on several of the buildings down there in that warehouse district. And the Ice House, we did, I can't remember exactly what we did, but we were involved in it in some capacity.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how it's transformed and how it's going to continue. Once it builds momentum, right?
Yeah.
It's like to get that first little bit of momentum was so difficult.
Yeah.
You know, but now you see it and you can just see it go. And Old Town Scottsdale is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I think what is happening is that we find centers of gravities, and then at that point, that was the beginning of it all.
Right.
And we're so appreciative right now, or I mean, the future generations will be appreciative that we look back into our own history and then we resuscitate those buildings that we were just leaving because we were going to the sprawl. We were going trying to find the America, the big house in its own little property and all that, you know, the dream, the American dream. But that center of gravity, I needed it. So I looked for it and I found it.
Right.
So that was my early days in this town. It was just trying to get to know those people.
Yeah.
And slowly I just created network.
Well, we'll get back to how you network because it is quite amazing. But I want to jump to what's going on in Old Town Scottsdale and this event that you've got coming up.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about that.
So then, remember I told you about the New Times?
Yes.
So then I looked, I used to read it a lot. I mean, I don't do it as often, but I used to pick the physical copy, and then I saw a picture of the new contemporary museum in town. I love the world of arts, and modern and contemporary art as are in the forefront of what I like.
Sure.
And then that was my natural way to get to Taliesin. So then I decided to stop. The interchange for the bus happens right around downtown, and it's like a few blocks from the museum. So I decided to walk to the museum and see the new museum that just opened for contemporary art. And I fell in love with what was happening because the Phoenix Art Museum didn't have much of contemporary art.
Right.
So then, so I went to Smoka, loved it, and then I went back. And then I tried to become a docent, but because of the transportation, it was very, very difficult. But I kept going. And then years later, Janice Leonard, an interior designer we all love, who designed AZ88, the interiors of AZ88, and Hanny's, I collaborated with her, and I consulted for her for a long time. And she was the one who brought me into SMOCA, the Scottsdale Museum of Contemporary Art. And I joined the board. She pushed me to join the board because she thought that I had the vision to create an event and to create all the experiences that I know in an event. So I created the first event that was Night Circus. It was all my vision. It was all my ideas. I have to speak in first person here because I wanted to bring the experiences that I had in Europe back here. And then we created it, and then we did the second, the third, the fourth, and then Janice dies. She leaves the world, and then I keep myself in the board. And then I keep working with the board. And then last year, Gerd Wusterman, the current director of Scottsdale Arts, called me, and he said, Oscar, we need your help. Would you please be kind and chair the 20th anniversary gala of the museum? And I said, I have a rule. It's a rule at home, and Gary knows this, my husband. I do not chair events on my own because I don't know, I have to have someone to pull me down a little because I expect out of myself a lot, and I expect out of the community a lot as well. But I took the chance and I said yes. He said, actually, instead of doing it for SMOCA, let's do it for Scottsdale Arts as a whole. Right. We have a great mission. There is going to be a lot of changes. We are trying to pull forward and celebrate what we did. And I said, okay, let's do it. So about 5 months ago, it hasn't been too long, 5 months ago, I started the process. And I said, we're going to do a gala. It has to be outdoors because of the weather, beautiful weather we have in Arizona. It's December 7th. It's the perfect time of the year to do something outdoors. So as you know, the first, I don't know if you know this, the first gala for Scottsdale Arts was outside in the Civic Mall. recently we had problems with the underground bridge
Yep.
on Goldwater
Yep.
Boulevard. Drink water. I can't remember right now. I think it's
Drink water.
Drink water.
Yep.
So the gala unfortunately cannot be done outside because we have all technical issues and the concrete blocks are too heavy to host or to have a tent on.
Yep.
So then we decided to move the gala inside. But I'm going to give you a quick briefing of what the gala is about. December 7th.
December 7th.
At the Scottsdale Center for the Performing Arts.
Right.
And you can go to scottsdalearts.org and find information. The name of the gala is Starry Night.
Right. And you're sold out right now, right?
I'm sold out, but there is a waiting list.
There's a waiting list.
There is a waiting list, and I would love for.
And people always, things come up, people drop out.
Yes, actually,
things happen all the time.
There are 2 tables that were pledged that perhaps will not be sold.
There you go.
But of course, we will love support and sponsorships as well, and we're still giving sponsorships.
So I was at one of your events. I forget which one at the Smoke Up.
The Fashionably Avant-Garde.
That was so much fun.
Right?
Red carpet. I mean, I felt like I was in Hollywood.
That's what we're gonna do this year. We have 300
fun.
feet of red carpet. So when you arrive, you're gonna arrive under an installation by Squid Soup, which is all lights and sound. Is amazing. We're gonna have Von Smith, which is one of the finalists of American Idol, and Carrie Pena will be hosting live on Instagram and Facebook.
The other day, we were talking about
yes, exactly. She's gonna be hosting again for us the red carpet.
She does a great job.
Amazing, inspired Media 360 is her new company.
Yep.
So shout out to Carrie Pena.
Yeah,
Thank you so
her new
much.
Studio and all that going on.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
she's now an independent producer.
Yep.
So good for her. And then as you get into the whole Vanessa Ruiz from 12 News before now Cronkite School of Journalism at ASU
Awesome.
is going to host the dinner. We call it Dinner Under the Stars. And we're going to have local performers, Gabriel Elijah, a jazz group is going to be performing for us, and some of the education kids from Scottsdale Arts are going to be singing. And then we're going to proceed outside for the dancing on the red carpet.
Ooh.
And then Javier Soto is going to host that portion. Javier Soto from 3TV. We have Rico DeLargo, which is an amazing DJ whose family lives here, but he's based in San Diego now, is going to host that portion of the night. And Micheline Etkin, as you know, beautiful model and philanthropist.
Yep.
She's going to create one sweet stable that is about, if I'm not wrong, it's going to be like 30 feet of sweets of all kinds. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow, that sounds
so
fun.
if you want to attend and put yourself on the wait list, call Kelly Hicks at 480-874-4662. Again, 480-874-4662. And I hope to see you there. It's a black tie
We
event.
will be there. The
Yes.
Candelaria design crew, we've got a table, and we are excited.
And it's going to be glamorous. So I
Love
hope you
glam.
put your big, beautiful tux and Isabel, as beautiful as she is, and Hans with a beautiful gown. It's going to be one of those nights that we celebrate arts in town.
We love it. So let me ask you this now. I'm glad we got that in there. So you were trained as an architect.
Yes, sir.
You did some modeling in Europe.
Yes, sir.
And then you moved here. You had to walk down Missouri to the piazza you never found on a Sunday where there was no bus. So how did you go from that to where you are today? And how did you get so involved in fashion? I mean, I know you had the fashion background.
Yeah.
But how did you take that from Europe, move here, not know anybody, and do what you're doing today? Because I know you dress a lot of the ladies that I've designed houses for.
Yes.
And so I just think it's so fascinating how you went from that sweaty walk down Missouri to what you're doing today. It's an amazing story, dude.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. It's just like, I think when we were describing the personality or the persona is, I'm a communicator.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel that there is a chance for you to say something. And if you had the chance, you better take that chance. And then I realized that at some point through all living here for 8 years or 9 years, I realized people need to be educated. And my mom came to visit, and my mom is a full fashionista. So she came to town, and then her remarks when I picked her up, she said, "Oh my God, this airport looks like a big gym."
Yeah. It does. It's gotten better, but it still has a
It's
lot
gotten
of
better,
The
yeah.
whole city looked like a gym.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. Everyone is on tennis shoes, shorts, and tank tops, flip-flops. So if you know La Costa Italiana, all the Italian coast, is full. Like there's a different sense of elegance. There's a different sense of lifestyle. You see people dress up head to toes on weekends. So the resort life is totally different than the resort life we know.
Right.
So
and that's one of the things I tell my travelers on our tours that we do is, okay, guys, look, it's not the flip-flop crowd over there.
Nope.
Okay? We're going to Italy. I know we're going to be on the beach, but here's how it works. And they look at me like, you're crazy. And they get there and go, oh, my God, you're right,
Yeah, there's a sense of pride of dressing up. And then the Italians, more than anyone in the entire Mediterranean coast, they know this very, very well, and they exercise it beautifully. So I go back to the beginning of it all.
Yep.
The idea of design, the idea of you design everything. You design how you live, your interiors, your exteriors, your seat is designed, your food is designed, the way you serve is designed.
Right.
So it's a way of living, as simple as that. It's like, it's difficult to translate because you don't, and I'm so happy.
We preach it all the time in our business. It's like, we're not just designing a house for you.
Nope.
We're trying to design a house that's a vessel for a whole new way of living. Just exactly what you just said.
Yep, it's a lifestyle. And then when you have the chance to see it and live it and you come back, you're like, oh my God, Mark was right. So I happen to have that extra oomph and then that interest in the world of fashion.
Right.
And I did it since I was a kid because my mother, like I said, she was a fashionista. My aunt, she had a workshop, and she was a seamstress. And my uncle used to run the business. So then people used to come to see my aunt, and then they were all talking and then ripping things out of magazine. And then one day, this is what my mom says, they asked each other, who's going to help us to put all this together? Oscar knows how to draw. Bring him here. I was drafting comics at that time.
Interesting.
So I was actually, by memory, just drawing Mickey Mouse and stuff like that. So he's like, Oscar, help us. Put this shoulder, put this here. And then that's how I learned that trade. Yeah, so on top of the interiors, the architecture, the interiors, then I went the extra step, and that was how do you tailor yourself? How do you dress? But there's the other element. You cook. Right. That's design. Yes. That's creativity.
It's all design.
I do design. I do the same. I cook. Yeah. And it's creativity. Sometimes I follow the recipe. Yeah. Sometimes I'm away from it. Yeah. Yes, because you have the smell and the taste. Sure. And then when you're cooking and preparing, you know how it's going to taste.
It's like playing music. You've got the notes.
And you play music.
Then you kind of put your own little spin on it.
Correct.
That's your personality.
Correct. We have to talk about these. And we talked about it earlier this week. And it's the world of creativity.
Right.
So my world is the world of design, but part of it is the world of creativity. Yeah. And that's the creativity that I use on an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah. That's the creativity that I use when I have to put a schedule for a project. That's the creativity that I use to raise funds for a museum. The creativity that I use to design the interiors of one of your clients and get her dressed for one of the galas that she's going to go, or an interview, is creativity. When you write, is the way that you write.
Absolutely.
There is a formula here.
Yeah.
So
it just elevates everything, and I don't think a lot of people understand that, and that's why I'm so encouraged by what you're doing in this city. Is it takes everything to a higher level of awareness. You know? Every aspect that you've talked about, cooking, your hair, your clothes, how you drive, where you go, where you eat, everything, you just are more conscientious of it, and you take it to the next level.
Tell me, and I'm just going to tell you these as the root of everything. The millennials are taking a step further is because of creativity. Yeah. All these panels that you go to listen to people that are successful right now is because somehow they are creative. Right. They just went from the mainstream somewhere, and then that business was successful. Right. So all the people that I admire, because I admire a lot of our business, local business people, you name it, Sharon Harper, Dr. Crow, Eric Crown, are big examples of creativity. They are businessmen, but they are creative. Right. Something spike on their head.
They're big thinkers.
They're big thinkers, correct. And then that happens when you remove yourself from the reality and you think other ways to create momentum. That's incredibly exciting to see, and a base for many politicians, because that's when you promise a vision. What we sell, you and I sell, is a vision. Our conquest is to get the client there. Absolutely. Either you call a little client, or you have a multi-million building to design or a huge development is your ability to create that vision, but you have to be close to the numbers.
Right.
You have to be close.
You have to make it work.
You have to make it work, correct. And
Yeah.
it has to be financially feasible, beautiful in design, and delivered in time. The three big factors of architecture.
Absolutely. So when I moved here in 79 and you moved here, what
1998.
year? 98. And, it seems like it took a long time to build the momentum that I see now.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just more aware of it now because I was so much younger then. But I just feel like this city is on the cusp of something amazing. I think this could be one of the most amazing cities in the world someday.
Yeah, I mean, if you see it every time when you open the magazines and AZ Big Media just reported that our airport is number one in the country.
Yeah.
And I'm just scratching my head. My God,
crazy,
our
isn't
airport. Yeah, it's like, wow. When I came here, it was just, this airport is just a stop to get in the States to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's never a destination. Arizona or Phoenix is never a
Changing.
destination. Yeah. You stop in Phoenix to go to the Grand Canyon. You stop in Phoenix to go to Sedona or
Right.
to go south to Mexico. So we're finally becoming a destination. How do you become a destination? When you have great chefs and people come here to taste our
Great
food.
spaces,
Great
piazzas.
Like the piazzas or the golf courses.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot to do here.
Yeah, there is a lot of things to do. So when I came here, I realized, and years into it, I realized, gosh, there's no one with a voice here.
Right.
There's only a few people that talk here and there, but there's
It's been
no
a
one.
pretty empty canvas, I think, for a
Yeah.
long, long time.
For a long time. And then finally we have the momentum because we have the financial support
Yeah.
to create where we are and express ourselves, and that's where we are. It goes throughout the society. Everyone
Yeah.
thinks, oh my God, we're so busy. There's so many events. Oscar, I see you everywhere. You go to so many events. I said, I'm happy that I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm alive, and I'm contributing to my own community. And that's something that moves me, is my community. This community that didn't know someone like me
Right.
opened their arms
Yeah.
and they said, hey, you can get in and you can, we
I think
appreciate
that's
whatever
one of
you
the-
do.
I think that's one of the neat things about Phoenix and Scottsdale is there are opportunities for people like you and I that came from nowhere, no family here, no wealth. My family was average American,
Yeah.
but there was opportunity here, and people would let you express yourself, and I could design houses for CEOs of companies.
Correct. My decision making could have been very easy. I could have just left here. My dad was a big executive for Pfizer International, and then he launched a product from Mexico to Argentina. So we travel a lot. We had a lot of places to go, and we had people at home from every single corner of the world having lunch and dinner and all the stuff. So my mom was a hostess. I saw the world through them, et cetera, et cetera. But I was, to me, I could have easily picked up my stuff and said, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Colombia, or I'm going back to Spain,
Yep.
or I'm just going to take another place. And then I decided to stay because that's the reason why. You can create your own umbrella.
Your
You
own
can create your own
reality.
tree. You can create yourself.
Yeah.
Correct. And if you have to be patient,
Right.
because you need to know a lot of people here. You have to be patient.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't
Everyone
happen
always
overnight.
thinks that.
Yeah.
They say, oh, you're such an overnight success. Well, overnight took 40 years. That was a long night.
Oh, I'm totally, yeah. I mean, trust me, I know I follow your profession, and I follow your production, and I've seen the process that you take projects in, and the ability to create an experience,
Right.
or bring an experience from somewhere else to a client here who wants to live in that experience
Right.
and make it their own. So kudos to you for doing
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Kudos to you for your team. And I know that there's so much of Candelaria for us to see and enjoy. I know that.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot. I get bored easily, so that's the good thing.
That's why we have a podcast, right?
That's why we have a podcast. So speaking of that, you've got all kinds of things going, too. You get bored also, I think.
Yeah, I do.
You've got
I do.
You've got your website, whatwouldoscardo.com.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. We all love following you, Oscar. I mean, it's just your photos are beautiful. What you do is obviously beautiful. You're helping so many charities and foundations around town. So tell us about some of the stuff you're doing to promote what you're all about.
My Gary, my husband, who may be listening or not, who knows? I'm sure he's listening, and he's going to take this podcast to the gym and listen to it. He says that we've been together for 12, almost 13 years, and then he says that he's exhausted. He's very excited, but he's exhausted.
That sounds like Isabel.
I know.
Isabel and Gary maybe need to hang out once in a while.
I bet. Yeah, we have to go to that dinner at some point. Yeah, and it's because it's the energy. I'm very passionate of what I do. And then one day when all the social media was starting,
right.
Before we had a platform, it was before Facebook, it was MySpace. So I needed to start communicating with my family abroad, in Colombia, my friends in Spain, and my family in Spain, etc. Like everyone who was around the world. So I used to send the emails with, I called them postcards.
Yeah.
So it was the email with a little written underneath of what was happening, so they knew what was happening. I really sent a lot of postcards. I remember Randy Stevens, who received me in his house. He was my boss, as I mentioned. We went to the post stop service, and then there were at least 30 postcards that I was sending from Arizona.
Wow.
To all my friends and my family, because I wanted to let them know.
Those are your posts before Facebook.
Correct. That's you got it. That's exactly right. I wanted to let them know what was happening. So I took social media at the very beginning to tell the world, or to tell my world what was happening. And slowly people got interested. English is my second language, so I'm sorry for all my grammar. But I have a resident ghost writer, is my husband, Gary, all the time. Correcting me, and that brings another thing. I went to Phoenix College when I first got here. I took the bus every day, every night after work to kind of like work my English, my grammar, my ability to express myself, because I knew there was some faults here and there. Still they are, but you have to understand that after you speak French, Italian, Spanish, and then you come down here, you get all like, what? So anyway, well,
you do a great job. You're a great communicator, if you ask me.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you. I mean, coming from someone like you, who, like, we are storytellers, to be honest, from the very beginning, from the root of it all. We all are storytellers. We all have one story to tell. And then I took social media like that, and that became, at some point, a blog. Gary asked me, why don't you write a blog? And then... believe it or not, all my friends used to tell me, or used to send me messages and pictures. Oscar, what I should wear this day? Oscar, can I buy this coffee table? It's too big, and this is the coffee table. Oscar, I have this stone I'm going to put in the kitchen. Is that okay? Oscar, so at midnight, it's like messages. This morning, Glenda Gutierrez, a good friend of mine, she's going to the author's luncheon. She sent me pictures of what, it's like, can I wear these with these, or these with this, or this with that? And it's very fast response. They want my eye, my expertise. So then I sent her already, sorry, I just put Glenda on the spotlight, but then she's going to look beautiful today because I chose what she should wear today. And then Gary came up with the idea, my God, everyone wants to know what Oscar thinks and Oscar's life. So then he called it, What Would Oscar Do? So and then it was an answer, a series of answers to the world of style. That's how is the subtitle of it, because I wanted to express the world of arts, the world of style, and then kind of like I told you, this is I think it's been my mission, is just to educate the locals about style. And that is very difficult. You are doing it by bringing people.
I think there's a collection of us that are doing it.
I think, yes.
And
I think there's a collection.
That's where the energy comes. And we talked about that like the last century in Italy and Spain and some of these cultures, Paris. I mean, you saw what happened in the 20s then.
I'm going to tell you something. It's called La Renaissance. Renaissance.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what's happening in the city.
Correct.
I feel it. I'm getting tingles right now as I say that.
Correct. So humanity goes through all these big waves. I mean, you go back to history. There's all these. When things are doing well and we are all communicating to each other, with each other, and we're together. Connecting.
And that energy builds.
Yep. The minds that create get together, and then the bar gets higher.
Yep,
so
exactly
I think that's what my blog is. And then it became all about me because I just decided to get a PR person in Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, everything is about you, yourself, the selfie and all that. And then she said, you need to talk about yourself more. So then I realized, okay, I'm going to speak in first person, and I'm just going to use my fashion and my modeling background to create a picture and then to say something about it.
Right.
And that became what would Oscar do today. And I've done it for many people. I've produced photo shoots and editorials for so many people. And this is during 2008, the dump economy.
Yeah.
When the economy crashed and you and Isabel were having coffee and looking at each other. I remember clearly this podcast. What are we going to do, Isabel? Yep. Isabel just had opened her store. I mean, I have to tell you, and I keep saying it, if you guys are listening, and I would love for you to put the link back to the first podcast.
Yeah, that was a good.
That was so beautiful.
Thank you, man.
I mean, beautiful in terms of the commonality and the ability of two human beings to love each other and to find themselves in a moment that it was so difficult and pull forward. Look where you guys are today.
Yeah, it's due to love.
Due to love.
My success is due to her. I mean, she gave me the love, the energy that allowed me to blossom. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about Gary. You mentioned Gary a few times.
That's exactly.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's
right?
exactly what happened to me.
When you get a partner like that believes in you, encourages you, and we've done it for each other. I mean, that's just the way it should work.
Yeah.
You know, is what a difference. I mean, I've been married 3 times, so I nothing bad against my ex-wives and all that stuff. But when you find the right person that you click with, both directions, it's the energy. It's the same thing we're talking about everything else.
It's just like it's love. It's the base of it all, and it's love. So I told you that I was here for 2 first year, second year, third year was just a little rocking because I started my visa process, and then things happened, and then years kept adding, and then I started dating someone long distance in Chicago. I met him in Palm Springs at a gala. Of course, at a gala, listen to me. And then Gary and I actually met at a gala as well. So then it was 4 years long distance, and then I broke up with him. And then I started just to go out in the community here because I was going to Chicago or wherever he was every weekend. So I didn't have a network. So then I decided to really get myself in the community, and I met Gary. And it's been 13 years of blossoming, I would say.
Right.
The reason that I am what I am today is because I have that podium, I have that base, and that is my Gary.
Yeah.
We've gone through very difficult times together. Last year was very difficult. He had a very strong accident. He severed his quads in La Jolla during vacation, and it was difficult for us. But we're here.
Yeah.
And only through love we are where we are, because I could have easily said, oh my God, this is too much for me, and walked away or something like that.
I would always, it's easy to operate at 100% when everything's going good, when everything's going well.
Yeah.
And it's easy. Everyone can do that. The test is always when things are bad.
Correct.
Is your partner going to stand behind you when things get bad?
Correct. And then that's when you realize it's not me, it's the two of us. It's not myself, it's my family.
Right.
So you create this little nucleus. That's your family. Then you have a bigger one with your family. Then you enhance, and they are your friends, and then your coworkers.
You have a pet.
My little Hugo.
Little
Hugo is I found him running on the streets about 12 years ago.
Was he looking for the bus? Or?
Oh no, he was running. Actually,
he was looking for the piazza.
That's the piazza. There you go. Little Hugo was running around. I found him, and then I tried to find the owners, and then he became our son. So our little Hugo, yes, he has following, by the way.
Oh, I know. That's how I know about
my little pug. I put bow ties on him, and then I have someone. Silly Body is the name of the company. Shout out to them, Silly Body. They provide his bow ties, and he gets photo shoots.
Oh, that's cool.
He gets them for free.
He's an influencer.
He's an influencer. I love it.
That's so funny.
I love it.
So okay, so you're a busy guy. I mean, we just talked a little bit about it. We could go on for a long time.
Yeah.
You're always doing something.
Yeah.
So how do you chill? How do you get away from it all? What do you do to decompress?
Some days, some weekends, I do nothing.
Yeah.
I stay home. I do nothing. There's no TV on.
Doing nothing is what? Like reading?
Sleeping and read. I read a lot.
You read a lot.
I read a lot. And then...
you mentioned some books on Monday, I think.
Yes.
That you enjoy.
Yeah. Profiles of Courage, which is the life of John F. Kennedy at some point in time.
Book,
Beautiful book. I'm reading a lot about politics in the States lately, and then recently I went to a gala, and then I got the book Hamilton, that was the base from Ron. I can't remember the last name right now. I will get to it.
Based on the play is based on the book.
The play is based on the book, and even writer rapped a little on stage about how everything came about and how
you had mentioned you love Sunday morning on CBS.
Oh
News,
my God,
right?
that is just
And they had a whole thing on that Hamilton thing. I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. Did you see that one?
Yes.
That was so cool.
So if you tell me what is my Sunday like, it's just I wake up, we do. I prepare breakfast and so on, and it's Sunday mornings on CBS.
That's what we like to do.
That's exactly. It allows me to see the world of America in less than an hour, every single level. They talk about politics. Basically, it's like Reader Digest. They talk about politics, they talk about arts, they talk about economy, they talk about everything. So basically, you get a full vision of what's happening in the country in just an hour, and beautifully written and incredibly enhancing visually. It's spectacular. Yeah. So if that's my Sunday,
it's about all the news I could really stand is maybe watching that. I can't watch the other news anymore. Has nothing to do with what side of the news you're on. Yeah, they're all so horrible anymore.
Yeah,
that's why I love to see this because I walk it and I leave watching that show inspired.
Correct.
Where I watch the other news, I feel nauseous.
I do have an issue with the moment of politics in the country. We all do. Yeah, we all do. It's like we all do. But my point with all these is that I choose to see the light, rather to be in the dark.
Totally.
It's like when you go to church.
Yep.
If you go to church, it's because you're looking for light.
Yes.
If you are Buddhist and you meditate, you are looking for light.
Right.
When the sun is out, you look for light.
Right.
Your body's looking for that energy.
And I'm looking for ways to bring people together, not divide people.
And I agree with you 100%. And then, but civil discourse is good. I mean, we all can talk about.
Yeah.
And it happens. You see the Italians. Everyone, you go to Italy, they scream at each other.
You sort of taxi, it's a discourse.
Yeah, exactly. You see it in the piazza, they are all screaming at each other and their hands are up and all this stuff, but they are talking. Then they stand up and then they shake each other's hands. It's like, okay, see you later.
That always amazes my travelers because they can't understand the language. They're just watching the body language.
Yep.
And they're looking at me like, oh my God, they're going to have a fight. I said, no. He's just ordering a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Like, what?
They're
watch. And then they get the coffee and they clink the cups and they're like, oh my God, you're right. How did that happen? I said, that's Italy.
They're talking about soccer, which is like number one subject, or second subject is politics. As we know, Italy has a very difficult time in terms of politics, but it's very heated. It's very
passionate.
It's very passionate. I would say very passionate. But they know because it's a medieval type of mentality.
Yeah.
If you want to, this only happens when you live in Europe. There's some countries in Europe who are in the future already. I mean, they are number one in many things, but their mentality, the way they behave, is very medieval still.
Yeah, it's interesting.
If you analyze,
I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's very medieval, and it's just that's why the piazza is important. That's why the strolls are important on Sunday afternoon.
Those are carryovers from that period of time.
Correct. And
Absolutely.
even with the social media, they're still rooted on that. How do I say this? Mindset of one-on-one.
Yeah.
You have to see people. You have to have coffee with someone.
Right.
And it's happening here.
Yeah.
Look how many coffee houses. You blame it on the coffee, but look how many coffee houses or juice joints are getting open and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's because we need to sit down. We need to sit down in front of each other and talk about what it matters to us.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
It's a very, very big difference.
Now, do you have a daily routine?
I do.
We talk about your morning, but do you have a daily routine?
I do. I was talking to someone and she said I have to take an hour to meditate. I was like, I say I have to wake up and have like some time in the morning by myself on my own before Gary wakes up, and then I go downstairs and I listen to the radio. I listen to RII, Radio Italiana. So I use the Italian radio. I still have to remember TF1 from France and BBC. I pass through Caracol Radio in Colombia, and then I end up with it's not PBS, it's NPR. NPR here.
So you're getting a real more international perspective on what's going on
always,
in the world.
Always.
And I love that when I go to Italy and I listen to the news there. It's like, wow, their news is the same story, but man, they're seeing it from a whole totally different perspective.
Yeah,
You know?
so we have Apple TV, and then I look I search for the all the little applications, and
Yeah.
then I have Sky News
Yeah.
from London,
Yeah.
and then I have BBC, and then I have CBS here.
Yeah.
I don't know, I love CBS,
Yeah.
and PBS. I don't watch the MSNBC or Fox News. I don't watch because I know they're both trying to sell their side.
Yeah.
I looked for the reporter who's able to tell a story without a side,
Right.
Or selling you a point of view, or selling you whatever they want to do.
Totally agree with you.
So then I have Alexa. Okay, I'm plugging that, I guess. Thank you, Amazon. I think you have to pay me for this. But I have her scheduled to give me briefings, or Gary has his schedule. Gary's the one who does all the technology at home. So it's scheduled to give me briefings from each one of these different outlets in their own language. So I have the chance to still remember some of the languages, Latin-based languages that I spoke 20 years ago when I came here. I can't believe that I'm just so rusty in some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were back in 1998 walking down Missouri right now, and you had to do it all over again, what would you do different? Because I think it's all turned out pretty darn well for you.
Yeah, nothing. It's Frank Sinatra song. I will do it all over again the same way.
Same way.
The same way.
It's your story.
Yeah, it's my story. It's very personal, and we talked about this at some point. Like everyone has a story. Everyone owns their own story, and we all want to tell our story somehow.
Right.
Some people do it through their work. Some people do it through.
That's the one thing I've loved about doing these podcasts is, not everyone's famous and on CBS News on Sunday morning.
Correct.
But most people have an amazing story that no one's ever heard.
Oh my God! I go to St. Vincent de Paul. I was going to St. Vincent de Paul. I have to go back to St. Vincent de Paul. I serve every Monday morning.
Yeah, that's a great place. Jimmy Walker's had me down there a few times.
I love Jimmy.
Yeah.
He's doing an incredible work. He and his team are just so dedicated.
Yep.
And you just mentioned stories, and I happen to serve breakfast, and the stories that I listen to there are so encouraging, and so human.
Yeah.
And they're really close to your heart.
Right.
They come close to your
They're
heart.
real.
They're real. They don't have the fuzz of any of the media or any other person narrating it.
It is
But
the story.
they're beautiful. I mean, they're beautiful. We have incredible talents for reasons in life that we don't know, or perhaps they know. Things shifted and changed for them.
Yep.
But they are beautiful stories. And I mean, we go to so many of these fundraisers, and we have so many nonprofits we support, and then we listen to the stories.
Yeah, it's great. It's so rewarding. I mean, it does keep you grounded. It keeps you real, I think.
That's a good point that you just mentioned. What do you do to disconnect?
Right.
It's just it's me back again. I go back to Gary. I go back to my family. I just have to go back to my roots.
Right.
I go back to my closest friends.
Right.
And even just texting, "How are you today?"
Sure.
It just started a
that.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's in the future for Mr. Oscar?
That's a very good question. So
There's a lot of possibility. How old are you right now?
I'm 50.
50,
I just celebrated my 50th birthday at AZ88, which you guys didn't go
because
you
we were
guys
out of town or
you guys
something.
were you guys were traveling.
Yeah.
AZ88 is a place close to my heart, and they allow me to throw my party every year.
Yep.
And this is thanks to my work with Janice Leonard and collaborations in the place for the
So
World of
half a
Arts.
century done. You got a half century to go,
Yes.
at least.
So I am very rooted in this town. I don't know if we will move for once. I mean, there's some possibilities, but I don't think we
want
do.
you to stay here.
Oh, thank you. That's
Please stay here.
So thank you. I have. I'm working in my office on business development and enhancing the footprint of my office, because I think our team or my team can do incredible things for the town, and we have the talent and the vision. And if we have the opportunity, either private or public, we will make a difference in this town.
It's going to happen.
Thank you. And then so I'm opening doors at the world of business for my firm, for Gensler, to be present and feel the blood pressure and the palpitation of what this town is all about.
Yeah.
So, but then right on my shoulder, many, no, I don't want to say many, like 3 or 4 very high-profile local leaders in town have tapped me and have tapped me continuously. And they said, we need you to come and be part part of the decision making at a greater level in the community.
Yeah.
We need you to run for office, whatever that is. And that's, imagine to someone who came here with nothing. That's a huge honor.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you what a big honor that is, because these are people that you don't know, and you have a vision, and they're willing to put money and time to take you to the forefront. I just, my God, I wake up in the morning.
That's why I love this city.
And I tell Gary, he's like, what am I going to do?
Yep.
Council Oscar is going to be fabulous for sure. But
someday there'll be a website called What Did Oscar Do?
What did Oscar do? That's exactly right. Oh, I can imagine when it comes to social media, people say things that you don't want to hear. But I don't care. I have a vision. I know where I'm going, and I think if I'm able to propel myself and the community where I want to go or where we should go, then that place should be there. But that is perhaps when I retire. But at the same time, I don't know if I'm going to retire. Like you, I love to work. And I'm always in the office, whatever hours.
It's my life. I've been working since I was 3.
Remember I was telling you that
tearing out the magazines and drawing cartoon characters.
That was
you were always busy.
There's something always something to do at home.
Yeah, you weren't whining saying, "Mom, I'm bored."
No, that was not me. That was not. No, my mom was like, "Calm down, Oscar."
Sounds familiar.
So I do what I do want to do, and I have some chapters already written. Is a book.
Good.
And then there's chapters for about my life, and there's chapters about my ethos and the way that I think, things that I have expressed to you today, like how you have to be creative. Yeah. You have to believe in yourself. You have to approach any single opportunity. If I tell you, I came here with just 4 bags, like I told you, 2 my books, 2 my clothes, and I think it's part of my family. We are back in Spain, we're Sephardis, and then, as you know, Sephardi gypsies, we're traveling from Romania all the way down throughout entire Europe, and then you go down to the peninsula, and then there's the water. It's like, what do you do? Yep. So they stationed in Spain, or they stayed in Spain, and then we are travelers. We are always thinkers.
Well, that's one thing I would love to do with you. Is I'd love to go on a trip with you.
Oh my God!
I think we would have fun.
This is so funny because I talked to Erica Dickey. Hi, Erica.
Hi, Ross. She's traveled with us a few times.
Yeah, correct. I talked to the Dickeys, and I told Erica once. I said, like, Mark was in Villa d'Este, but he forgot to go, like, whatever. I can't remember where it's. La Bella Roma, which is a very small. I hope still open. It's a very small villa, and then they cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner with whatever they're able to find around the farm.
So this is how I find out things. It's like this. Everyone tells me stories, and then I go there the next time, and it's like it's endless.
Yeah, it's endless. So once again, it's just that ability to experience. So my suggestion, and I think it's going to happen, because you already have the network. Yeah, Mark, please rent a villa during a summer.
We've been talking about doing
and
that.
Host people, because we
want to do that in San Sebastian.
Oh my God! Okay, so I tell you stories about San Sebastian or San Sebastian, like with X.
There you go.
Because northern Spain is different than southern Spain.
Big difference.
Correct. And then you've gone to
and the Basque region is different from Asturias.
Oh, the Basque region, totally to the Castilians, totally different. So. Castilla and Leon, or Castilla y Leon, which is the center region of Spain, is, I would say, is like the northeast in the United States.
Yes, very similar. I always say Madrid is like New York, and Barcelona is like San Francisco.
Exactly right. That is exactly right. The Catalans have their own way of thinking, but if you go down to Andalusia.
Yeah, I love it down there.
Then you mix everything, because the gypsies.
It's the collision of cultures.
It's the collision of cultures. So it's like if you really want to understand Spain, that's where you have to stop.
Could not agree
more.
Is
Andalusia. My family, my grandpa was a guitarist, a flamenco guitarist, and he was the one who was dressed with the 3-piece linen suit, 2-tone shoes. And Domingo was his name, and he had the palm hat all the time, the palm hat on all the time. And then he was a Gentile man, a uomo gentile. That's how it's spoken in Italian, only in Latin. Gentile uomo. And he had that elegance. And I think I carry that.
Oh, yeah.
I think I met him, of course, when I was a very a kid,
Right.
very little boy, but my mom says, you are just like your great-grandpa.
Yeah.
So this is to Domingo.
You're a deep soul. You're an old soul.
I'm an old
Oscar.
soul, yes.
Yes. When I think of you, and I'm going to wrap it up here, I think of three things. I think of love, beauty, and creativity. That's when I see you on your social media, when I run into you, that's the vibe that infuses in my soul the second I meet you. And doing these 2 podcasts for the price of one in the last 4 days, I firmly believe that.
With Oscar, what you see is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah, you are who you are.
I
It is love, beauty, and creativity.
Yeah.
My friend.
And if I ever offend anyone for being myself, then come to me, and then we'll have that coffee in front of each other, and we understand where we are in life.
Yeah, I can't imagine how anyone would ever be offended by you, because you're an amazing guy. That's all I can say.
Well,
so how do we reach you?
So you can reach me in social media to like every single portal. You can call me. I can give you my number. Should I give my number?
It's up to you.
Oh, yeah. You can call me, find me like in any social media. Oscar de Las Salas. You can go to What
We'll
Would
have
Oscar
story
Do.
notes on the podcast.
WhatWouldOscarDo.com.
Yep.
We can talk about politics. We can talk about anything that it is part of being human and part of humanity,
Right.
and what connect us. Not what takes a difference between you and me, because
Right.
we can build walls, but I'd rather build bridges.
Absolutely.
That's me.
Love it, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for doing this again.
Thank you. Oh, my God, I hope this goes live.
I'm making like 3 backups this time. Okay?
Okay, that glass
right.
of scotch and that
Dinner's
Cubano.
on me. Dinner's on me next time for sure.
That Cubano and that cigar and the glass scotch is coming next.
All right. That sounds good. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
All right, my friend. Good luck on that gala.
Thank you.
We'll see you there.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao. Okay, so much fun. I tell you, we could have gone forever. I think it was kind of appropriate that we had to do it twice to get this one recording, but there was plenty of paths to go down and plenty of things to explore, and I look forward to having Oscar back again, because I'm glad we got his biography out of the way, but where this guy is going, where he's taking us all in this beautiful adventure, I cannot wait to just experience more and spend more time with that guy. So anyway, I am off to Italy tomorrow morning. I have a 7 a.m. flight. I'm going to go with my partner, Vivian Ayala, and we're going to go to, we're going to fly into Venice if it's not totally inundated with water, which I hear it's pretty bad. Airport's obviously on the mainland there, and we're going to be going north of Venice and spending some time with compliments of the Bromball Window Factory. We're going to be there for 5 days, touring their factory. They're going to give us a little taste of Italy. And, of course, I'll probably bring some more of Italy home with me on my waistline, but that's a whole other story. So stay tuned. We'll broadcast live from Italy this week. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and we'll see you soon. Ciao. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.